please welcome to the stage, Sara Cox. So bright.
It's so bright.
It's so bright.
So bright.
Is this dress a bit see-through? I feel like it might be.
Thought it was like a police raid for a moment with the lights.
I know. I
Hi.
can't see any of you. It's just lights. It's actually quite good.
I'll just put
Just put our books there.
these. I don't know how it's best to put them. Maybe like
That works.
Just.
Or you could just hold them like
yes,
that.
No, I won't do it.
Have you just literally come from the radio?
Yes, on the back of a motorbike.
Oh my God, it's very showbiz.
Well, you know when people go, your
Just
hair
some
looks
water.
like you've arrived on the back of a motorbike? Actually have.
It has.
So sorry.
And how was the show today, Sarah?
It was good, though. I've got one of those brains today, so good luck, everybody, where I
Right.
just can't quite think of things. And I've got a brilliant producer called Louise who I can talk to on a talkback button.
Yeah.
So midway through a link, I'm like, because we were talking about that Love Live show that's on the iPlayer
Right.
at the moment. And midway through a link, and I'm like, oh, it's so good. I'm on Ep 3 with, first series, what's she called? Small Lass. And my producer goes, Anna Kendrick. And I'm like, Anna Kendrick, yeah. So it was, it's that
We
kind
haven't
of
got,
brain.
she can't stand behind you tonight and prompt you if you
No,
forget.
and I wish I'd brought you out some potted shrimp or something after your
Oh,
fish
no.
stories to
All the
see.
fish. Do you
All
know
the
what?
fish.
For one day, it was so good eating fish,
Yeah,
and I really went in.
You were like you were scouring the seabed, like.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. There's so many things I want to talk to you about today, but I do want to start by saying a massive congratulations on your brilliant book, Throne, that you've put on the
Thank
table
you.
there, which is doing so amazingly.
Thank you.
So many people have already lapped up this story and enjoyed it so much. It's been this beautiful slice of escapism for people, myself included. It is so
Thanks.
feel good and there's so many beautiful characters in there to just get stuck into and lose yourself in. And it all based around pottery,
I
which
know.
is so wonderful. Was this an idea that you had whilst you were actually filming The Throwdown?
No, because that was quite a while back now. That was, I don't know, time's melted and morphed, doesn't it? I don't know when it was. It could have been 1962, I don't know, a few years back. But it definitely sprung to mind as a nice way of getting some people together. Because on the Great Pottery Throwdown, when I hosted that, you really saw the way potters interact with the clay and just how it's sort of quite meditative. And I thought it'd be the perfect place to bring people together. And also I knew that Kate Malone, MBE, my lovely pottery judge, who actually saw last night, it was lovely, I knew that she'd help me with all the pottery stuff. And I was at a charity pottery thing last night, and I was so pleased because an actual potter came up. She came up and she said, I'm a maker, which means they make pottery. I'm like, yes. And she said, everything was spot on, because I knew that people would be like, that's the wrong temperature for that type of clay. So I wanted to get all those deets spot on.
Oh, I love it. And one of the beautiful things is obviously why you're so popular on the radio and have been for so long, and why this book is doing so well, is you're naturally just such a good storyteller. Even growing up, before I joined Radio 1, I would listen to your stories, and you can make something just so average turn into a whole huge, brilliant adventure. And it's obviously a natural skill that you've got. Is that storytelling a sort of family thing? Often it's quite generational that, your mum or your dad's a good storyteller, or your nan was.
Yeah, it was my granddad was a great raconteur, Vince. He was about yay eye.
Oh, Vince.
He had black curly hair and a black sort of twirly tash. He looked a bit like he was sort of in the mafia.
Like Poirot,
Yeah,
almost.
he's kind of like a little. Well, he looked sort of Italian. He lived in Bolton. As far as I know, he didn't have any mafia connections.
The
Who
Bolton
knows?
Mafia.
Yeah, that'd be a good one for Who Do You Think You Are? Can you imagine?
Yeah, exactly.
They actually, a similar programme tried to look into doing a Who Do You Think You Are type thing on me. I won't say it was a copy that Channel 5 was doing. We'll say it was inspired, if the lawyers ask, by Who Do You Think You Are? And they went on my dad's side, and it was basically, because my dad's a farmer, and it was basically like farmer, 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 butcher, butcher, farmer, farmer, farmer. They were like, nah, you're all right, love, it's kind of boring, whatever. But yeah, so my granddad Vince, he wanted to be a stand-up, and during like the 60s, 50s, 60s, I think, he actually went to like a comedy college that somebody was like running some course of how to be a stand-up, and he never quite made it, so it's quite nice. But yeah, it came from Vince.
But it's a real, as well as it being a skill, there has to be an element of confidence in storytelling, because we've all been in that situation where you're at a party or you're in a group and you've got a story to tell, and you start with it and then you feel yourself sort of peter off a bit, you lose your confidence in saying it, or you feel like, am I wasting people's time? Is this going on too long? Do you think that was just sort of practice, trial and error, telling stories, working out the best way to sort of engage people in them?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think there's just, I always try and have a beginning and a middle and an end a little bit with a story. And I always just try and note down things that are happening throughout the day. But I'm more confident like now, or on the radio, perhaps. I think on the radio, no one can see the whites of your eyes either. It's lovely. And it is just like chatting one-on-one with a person. I'm more confident there than I am like holding court. Sometimes I'll start chatting at the dinner table, and I just have one of those awful moments where, when you can feel a blush happening. Oh. And you're like, what the hell? I'm 47. Why am I blushing?
I hate blushing. It's so embarrassing.
It's the worst, because then your brain goes, you're blushing. Okay, blushing happening. Let's provide more blush.
Bring the sweat on.
Yes, sweat. Go. You're like, what?
Awful.
So that occasionally will happen. But yeah, on air, I feel like it's nice just to hide a little bit.
It's lovely.
You can hide in front of millions of people. It's lovely.
It's great. It's so lovely. And also you've got this beautiful rapport with your audience, so they know you, you know them. It's just it gives it that sort of ease, I guess, as well. So let's talk about Throne, because there's so many special things about it. I love the fact that it's based on friendship, and friendship being such a key part of it. And also intergenerational friendship, because I love Jamila and Sheila's friendship really stands out to me. Sheila's that bit older than Jamila, but they really bond and get on. And I've got a couple of mates, both females, in their 70s, and we're really good mates. We speak all the time, we WhatsApp all the time. 70-year-olds love using emojis, like more than my friends who are my age, like so many emojis, and quite voice note heavy as well.
Yeah.
But I love what that dynamic sort of offers me, and I'm sure they feel the same, that we get something completely different to being friends with, people our own age or people we've grown up with. There's something really special about it. What made you lean into that sort of dynamic and intergenerational friendship?
Well, I just think it was, for a start, people who are in their 70s now were the sort of punk generation, I think, doing my maths. So they were the ones, sort of being loud and brash and fighting and pushing against stuff and being really cool. And I like the idea because Sheila's she's quite Daily Mail reader, will put on a little, Breton stripe, and she likes a luminous tabard when she's organising things. She's on the committee at the community centre.
I love a tabard. It's quite a powerful statement, isn't it?
Yeah, tabard and a clipboard. She loves the power of that. But she's got a really good heart, and I thought it was so nice to bring it together to Jamila because there's some loneliness there in the book, and Sheila's kind of lonely because her son has grown up and gone, even though she's got this stash of hula hoops in the cupboard as if he's going to come back one day. And she's quite lonely, and I think she looks at a younger woman like Jamila and thinks she's got everything, like we sometimes can do with other women. And she finds out that that's not very much the case, and they support each other. And then the rug is really pulled out from Sheila, and Jamila really supports her, and they go off on an adventure sort of investigating Sheila's husband's behaviour.
You mustn't say any more, because that's a wonderful, juicy bit of the book that you don't want to give away.
Did you like that bit?
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It kept me wondering for many chapters.
Bits kept coming to me in the night. Like, towards the end of the book, I had to sort of bring lots of it together. And I'd literally I must have been going to bed thinking about it, and I'd just wake up.
In a dream state?
It's sort of in a dream state, and then just sort of would come to a bit like, oh, they can go there, or whatever, and like wake up and write
brilliant.
It down.
I obviously haven't written a novel, but when I've been writing other books, I'll often get ideas either when I'm out running, just because I'll have a clear head, or also, I don't know if there's any other people out here with youngish kids. My daughter, who's 6, I've got into a terrible habit, we all do, of doing what she wants me to do, which is for her to go to sleep, I have to hold her hand.
Oh my God.
We've all been there, right? Please tell me we've all been there. So I'm sat there holding her hand like this. It's quite quick. It's 5-10 minutes, but I am thinking, I shouldn't be doing this. I should have parented her better. She should be independently going to sleep. Anyway, I'm sat there holding her hand, and now I'm using it to I'm like, well, I'm going to zone out and think about that project and, just brainstorm on something. So I use that quiet time. I'm painstakingly sat there.
While your arm goes numb.
When your arm's numb and nightmare.
But you could do keels.
Do what?
The exercises.
Oh, with your pelvic floor.
Yes. Any fans of pelvic floors in here tonight?
Yeah. No, my pelvic floor it needs the work. Oh, I should be doing that and brainstorming.
Doing that.
Pulsing and brainstorming. Why am I doing that action? It's horrible.
It's impressive.
If it was doing that, I'd be winning.
I'm always so busy and trying to dash about, and I'm really bad at sitting or standing still for long. And when someone's putting on a bracelet for you, and it's the most sweaty, annoying moment, or a necklace, and you're like, no, okay, no, and they're like, oh, it's quite tricky, and you're like, it's fine, and you're just like, oh, that's when I do keels.
Oh, is it?
Yes, because I'm like,
I thought that was when your ideas were coming, but no, it's back to the pelvic floor.
Yeah, back to the pelvic floor.
Yeah. I think we could be doing it now.
We could be doing it now. Anybody want to confess?
No one
Madam,
would know.
She's smiling.
That's given me lots to think about.
Sorry. We'll move away from there now. I'm sorry.
I'm fine to stick on that subject. But yeah, did you have a certain method with coming up with the characters, the storyline? Was there a certain routine you got into with it?
So what was really quite lovely with the first book was that I didn't really know what mistakes I could make until I'd written the first draft, and then my editor sort of called in backup. It was like, okay, you've done a good book, well done. It just needs a bit of reorganizing. Because there was a program on years ago called, was it Lives of a She-Devil? It was about... It was this brilliant, I remember watching it when I was little, and there was a writer in it, the baddie, this glamorous woman called Mary something, and she'd sit writing like on a cliff top next to her house with the wind in her hair, and I thought, well, that's how I'll be. So I started writing this book in Willesden Green, like not on a cliff. Yeah, with eating, custard creams or whatever. And all this lovely stuff came, all these stories came, and all these people formed before my eyes, and I wrote it all, and it was great. But I won't be doing that again, because then the best way of saying it is I'd built a really nice snowman, but I'd put the big ball at the top,
right,
and the tiny ball underneath, and the carrot nose just waxed on top, and bits of sticks stuck in it. So it just needed a lot of work, but it was a really nice way to write. And I'm trying to write another book now, which is a different book, and I feel like I'm a bit restrained because I've learnt my lessons, so I'm trying to avoid the lessons from the first one.
How did you find getting all that feedback? Because it can be quite a horrible process, which I've been through many times, where you get back your work and there's all these red dots that you have to click on with little notes and constructive criticism. And I think I'm used to it now, and I don't take it personally, but the first time I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be sick. I couldn't bear it, because you are broken down. And I know, obviously, sort of having a job in the public eye anyway, being somebody that talks to the nation every day, you're used to an element of feedback. But when it's something so personal and a story that you've invested in, that you love, how did you take that?
Yeah, I cried.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I cried and said, I can't do writing then, and Christmas is ruined, because it was just before Christmas. I think when you write your first draft, you're so excited, like anything that you've completed. You're like, ta-da! Excellent, there you go.
Yeah, look forward to
the launch. Yeah, organise a party, see you for nibbles. We'll just, as it is. It'll be fine, we don't need to do an edit, it's boring. And they were like, no. So I was messaging with Jeremy Vine, good friend and colleague, who's written a novel. I think his second one's out soon. And he was like, I won't do his accent, but he messaged me, and he's like, oh, the worst thing you can do is kick off with your editor and then back down and do it all anyway. And I was like, well, this is awkward. That's exactly what I've just done. Because I was like, I hate writing. Christmas is cancelled. You've ruined my life. Send. And then I was like, I'm really sorry about that last email. Yeah, you're right. I'll do it all. And then I just buckled down and did it. And got to say, they were absolutely bob on with every point that they made. So that's why they do their job.
Yeah, they're very good, aren't
to
they?
help me do mine a bit less shit.
Yeah, but this time, but next time, like you say, you're like the kind of the parameters and the rules, and you'll probably end up having way more fun because you know where to go and where not to go.
Yeah, I hope so. I just need to make the time. Do you know what I mean? I've got a lot of pets. Bad excuse. I know.
So many pets, horses and whatnot.
Yeah.
So did you have a time of the day that felt right? I mean, obviously you've got the radio show in the middle of, towards the end of the day, but was there a certain time where you felt more creative, you felt in the zone to do it?
Definitely early morning. I feel like I've switched from night owl to lark-ish behaviour, larking about, first thing in the morning, but also nobody was up then, and it was during lockdown. I'd started it in February 2020, nothing's going to stop me. Here we go. I'm going to have a perfect year. And then a month later. So I was getting up quite early just to get into the office and write. But, in the...
did you go into Radio 2 to write?
No, sorry. We've got, an office at the bottom of the garden.
Oh, nice.
Nice. So I'd sneak down there.
You're still going to work. It's a short commute, but you're going to work.
Yeah, it's actually it's where my husband does his work from now, most of his work from. So we've got a couple of tortoises, so we'll complain about the traffic being slow because he's stuck behind a tortoise. And I'm like, every time he makes that joke, the kids are like, Jesus, get some new material, Dad. I'm like, it's brilliant. I'd go down there and work early mornings, and you were saying those brilliant showbiz stories at the top. About the year 2020, our best thing is that we went over Christmas. We went to Bahamas on a big holiday, and we were at a water park, and we'd queued up for 30 minutes to get to the top of this water slide, me and the kids and my husband. And all of a sudden there's a kerfuffle happening, and Jack Black, movie star, appears at the top of the water slide. Security have let him through. He's with a security guy. And they've got the green and red lights on a water slide. It was still on red, so he was sort of stuck next to us, and we were like, oh my God, it's Jack Black. And I didn't say anything to him because I was thinking, I've interviewed you once, you were a knobhead. But I thought, don't say that. Do you know what I mean? Don't ruin the moment. Jack Black, the kids are excited. And he goes to my husband, yeah, man, how you doing? And my husband's like, yes, because he's from Hampstead. He's like, yes. And Jack Black goes, 2020, man, it's going to be awesome. And we go, yeah. And then, you're supposed to sort of lie like that on some of these slides. There was a sign saying that, and he just went, 2020, and then dived down it head first. Like, whew. And we were like, woo! 2020. So we want our money back, Jack Black, if you're listening.
Oh, yeah. Jack Black got it so wrong. And apparently he's a bit of a knob.
He's a bit of a knob. He might have been having a bad day. Who knows?
Probably having a bad day.
Yeah, so we'll forgive him.
Talking of your husband, I hear your husband and my husband have something in common in the fact that he hasn't read your book.
No.
My husband hasn't read any of mine.
How many have you done, babe?
A lot.
Done 6 or something.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
and he's got them well-meaning. They're by the bed. They've never been opened ever.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
He's not read the memoir. He's not read this one.
I mean, I guess their excuse is, I sort of know who you are.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I've got enough of you in my life.
Exactly.
I don't need to be reading
about you as well.
Lay next to you in bed reading about you as well. My dad hasn't read the memoir, and it's about my dad.
Yeah.
So that just says a lot about the man. Because imagine if someone wrote a book that's basically about you, you'd read it, wouldn't you?
Oh my God, you'd be over the moon.
You'd be
thrilled.
like, hello.
Yeah.
So I folded over a page in the memoir for my dad, going, look, this is a bit about being in the wagon. You'll like this bit. And he's like, I like cows. Okay, fine. So it's still not, but I kind of love that. It's fine.
Yeah, I kind of like that as well. Just the nonplussed factor.
Yeah,
is
just
great.
the not bobbed. Yeah, he texted me a minute ago. I was thinking, we might be wishing me good luck. And he went, where are we going again in Menorca? I'm like, I'm doing some work. Busy.
My dad never texts me, ever.
No.
That
was my husband who texted me about Menorca.
Not your dad.
Not taking my dad to Menorca. He's got no one to mind the cows.
This is so true. This is so true. Your poor dad. Let's talk about friendship again, because I think it's so important, and I don't think we've really done a Happy Place episode that's been based around friendship, strangely. And it is such an important backbone of so many bits of your life. And it, informs who you become as a person and brings new opportunities and new subject matters that you get buzzed about. It can be complicated, it can be beautiful. And I don't feel like I've really given it enough attention or focus. And I wonder, first of all, do you think you're a good friend?
Oh.
That's the question.
Gosh, I think I am, actually.
I bet you're so...
Yeah, because I think if you've got lovely friends who you've been friends with for donkey's years, then that's your proof right there in your little pudding friends.
So are you going back as far as school, childhood?
I go back as far as being 19 and meeting my best friend Claire when she was 17, and we met in South Korea, modelling capital of the world. We were there. It's a well-trodden path, this, but my boobs were too big for Japan.
Oh my God, what a wonderful problem
It's
to
all
have.
in the memoir, I know.
Oh my God.
So it would be Claire, and then friends that I've made since then through work, a lot at Radio 1. Meg.
Yeah.
Megan's one of my bezies, and Anna.
Megan. She's
and,
down the road today. She's working at the other bit of the podcast show.
Is she?
Yeah.
Very successful woman
So
now.
successful.
Carver PR.
I love
Doesn't it
her.
sound so impressive?
Harbour PR is posh sounding.
So good.
Megan's doing great.
But yeah, so I think I'm a good friend. I think I'm loyal and supportive and hilarious, hopefully. Annoying.
And annoying, no. And how have your friends supported you in tougher times?
Well, let me think. I guess there's just, Claire is like, she's from Manchester. She's my queen bee, and she is the sort of, well, they all are actually. It's just the drop everything and run to be by your side when needed. And touch wood, I've not had many occasions where, there's been something super traumatic. They're just always there, aren't they? And they just get you, and you can just be 100% yourself. And it just does feel like on a computer game, like where you I've not really played a computer game for 30 years, but where you power up, like your soul, it just feeds your soul when you're with your best girl crew. Yeah. There's nothing like it. And you only realise how much you miss it when you've been with them and you're like, God, we need to, be together more rather than just leaving lengthy voice notes on WhatsApp is what we do a lot.
Oh my God. I know I've got so many of those sort of tennis games going on, and we're like, we just need to see each other in the flesh. How did you find it? Because I've got a group of friends that I've known from school that I'm really good friends with. And I guess there's a sort of, I hate the word journey, but I'm going to have to use it, like a journey you go on together through life where, things are happening to different people at different times, but certainly when either you or one of your friends has a big change, might be moving, but often also having kids, changes things due to sort of time, energy levels. I remember certainly feeling when I had probably my son Rex, who's 9 now, and I still find it hard now, where is the time to see my friends? More often than not, it will be in the day because I'm actually awake and have a brain that operates in the day. I'm so tired, I can barely function in sort of evening scenarios. But I think I've struggled with that since having kids. My friends are there, they know I'm here, we're there for each other forever. Yeah. But it's the sort of face contact, being with each other. I've found that very difficult since having kids. And I think people find that, scary to admit. Often, we talked about this with Amanda de Cadney on an episode that's out this week, and she was sort of saying, I don't think women can have it all, and she admitted she's only got a tiny group of friends now, but that's what she wants. But the going out and socialising it's almost impossible at times. Yeah, same. No, I'm the same. I've not got time for any more friends. I'm literally I'm not here to make friends, guys. Yeah. I just can barely see the ones that I've got. I managed to time a couple of the kids with a couple of my mates having kids, which was helpful because then you could all just drink wine and ignore your kids as they cause havoc in a Pizza Express or whatever, and you're like, whatever. Fine. And I find that the most satisfying way is, even if it's just once a year, is to have a weekend away with them.
because then you really get down to the nitty-gritty when you're watching Strictly and you're drinking margaritas in big fluffy robes.
Oh.
And if you can just do it once a year, just go away 1 or 2 nights if you can. You don't have to go on a big fancy holiday, but just because that's when you just go deeper than scratching the surface. Because I find when we're all tired and we're all busy, and then you find that you're going through like a list of questions if you meet someone when you're tired, and it's one of your best friends, and you're like, how's your mum? How are the kids?
Yeah.
How's the, work all right? And you're just like, ding, ding, ding. And it's not satisfying. And you're both tired and you're both there because you love each other. But, if you get to go away, then that seems to sort of tide us over, and we can just keep it up with voice notes for the rest of the time.
But that's the good thing about having a really old friendship means that whether it's been a week or a year, there is no awkwardness. You just pick up where you left off, and that's such a lovely feeling. I've actually got a friend in the audience who I'm completely embarrassed now, called Kat. I can't see you, Kat, because I can't see anything. But I'd worked with Kat as a kid on Dig It. And,
was that a construction show?
Dig It was not a construction show, Sara Cox. No, it was a kids' TV show about Disney with Disney cartoons. And there was an inflatable sofa, a pet dog. It was an absolute disaster.
You started so young, didn't you? You were like 15 or something.
15, yes. I mean, Kat was only a bit older than me, but Kat was doing all the counts in my ear. And we hung out a lot then. I think I even smoked my first cigarette with Kat, which I'll admit on this podcast. Gosh. It was a roll-up, very exciting. Those days have passed. But anyway, I didn't see Kat for years and years. And then we ended up living in the same area and bumped into each other in Waitrose, which was excellent. And now we see each other all the time again, like no time has passed.
Yeah.
And I think it's always so lovely when there's that level of comfort where it's like we're just back to where we were.
Yeah.
You don't get that with everybody. And I think that's the painful bit about friendships. And again, it's probably not talked about enough. We can focus on heartache in relationships and how painful that is because it's so final. But sometimes with friendships, whether they naturally dissipate or there might have been a scenario where things just didn't work out, the lines still feel a bit blurry because nobody's ever said, I'm breaking up with you or it's over. It just sort of goes. And sometimes it can happen quite slowly. And I think that's probably more complicated than breaking up with a partner.
Yeah, I mean, I did once have to do some gentle weeding with my friendship group. Just one person about 20 years ago or so who just didn't make me feel nice about myself. And I think it came from her. We weren't best friends or anything, and she was sort of in the biz we call show. And she was just like horrible to me, it just would put me down and made me feel bad, and it was quite empowering. I thought, you know what, I'm kind of going to break friends with this person. But that's the one and only time I've been brave enough, and that's because it takes a while to wind me up, but then once I go, I'm like, no, done, like death by a thousand cuts. I'm like, I'm out
But it's
of
funny
here.
because we do put up with a lot, it might not even be a great friend, but someone we, is in our social circle that we see out, and we're also intuitive and we forget that, or we get blocked. But we have a feeling when we're around people, and you either walk away feeling really boosted and good and happy, or I will often be with certain people, not many of them, but you get that feeling where I feel a bit edgy.
Yes.
I get really insecure. I start second guessing everything I'm saying. Like, should I have said that?
Yes.
Have I pissed them off?
Yes.
Just worrying about it all.
And it's all on the opening gambits, whatever comes out of their mouth first. So there was one time with a girl who went, oh, those earrings are snazzy.
Oh, snazzy. Do you like that word?
Is it me? Snazzy's a little bit off, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a bit suspect.
A little bit, a bit jazzy, a bit snazzy, a bit garish, a bit vulgar, a bit like...
Yeah,
and
jazzy.
I don't really want a snazzy or a jazzy earring, thank
you're
you
out.
very much.
It was that quick, you're out.
Yeah,
bye.
No, but otherwise, I've not had to do it too much. But you're right, you find yourself sort of altering and adjusting, and you don't really want to be doing that.
No.
You get to an age where you're like,
you get to an age where you're like, because I did that all the time in my 20s with friendship sort of situations, but also partners where I would all of a sudden, I love that band, never heard of them. And you sort of start mimicking their life to try and fit in. I do think you just naturally arrive at a point where you go, that's so boring. I'm too tired. I don't want to do
Yes.
that. I just want to be me.
Yeah, you become a bit chameleon-esque, don't you, where you try and just sort of blend in with them a little bit.
And that's a good friend, isn't it, I think? Turning up as you on any day, a good day, a bad day, one when you're just feeling a bit low, and that you can be quite honest about that. Like, I'm just feeling a bit funky and not great, and they just accept you as you are. Like, that's, I think, the true measure of really good friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just can't beat it, really. You just can't, it does just build you up when you're with strong people.
Yeah. How do you think your friendship groups have informed who you are? I mean, if I look at there's 6 of us that grew up together, and we see each other throughout the year. We're all really close, and certainly with one of my really good friends, Ali, she might meet a stranger or bump into someone out, and they go, "God, you really sound like Fearne Cotton." Like we sort of have the same diction, the same sort of cadence to how we're speaking, and it's sort of an interesting thing that I've thought about. Like, it's like we've sort of built each other in this group, and we've all kind of learned from each other and worked out who we are with each other. And I wonder if you have a similar feeling that certain friends have helped you become who you are today, I guess.
Can I just reassure the podcast listeners, it is Fearne Cotton speaking
Might be
now,
Ali
not
Bowers.
Ali. Because
be Ali.
that could have been a curveball, but it is Fearne. So I've got the 5 Go French crew. That's what
Go
we call.
French. Where's that from?
So France, we went to France quite a bit.
Yeah.
A few years on the trot. My father-in-law had a lovely place in the south of France. Yes, I married very well. Although my husband's been to the cow farm in Bolton.
Got to keep it equal.
Yes, exactly. So we used to go over to France, and we became the 5 Go French. And what's funny with them is that each of them just bring a little something different to the table, and together, they're unstoppable. So there's Els, who's a little bit, she's super amazing job in the city, super busy, but she's really got a dry sense of humour, and kind of, is a little bit more restrained at first, quite dry and sarky and very funny. And then there's Anna, who's kind of the wild child of the group, Megan, who's super practical, super hilarious, who we know, and Emily, who's a bit more like the mother of the group, but then when you let her loose, she's like the naughtiest one. And so when we're all together, it's just like there's a magic happens, and it's so lovely, and it just brings out like the best. I love being around them so much, and something about a group of women or a group of friends that when you're away together, like if we're knocking up a bit of lunch, there's not really any communication needed, because we all want each other to feel good. Whereas sometimes when you're in a family situation, you're a bit like, no, fine, you relax, I'll just peel these potatoes again, even though I'm on holiday too. It's that kind of thing. But when you're with a bunch of friends, you're like, no, I'll be chopping this, one will be doing this, the other will be pouring the rosé. And it just feels like we're just sort of like, a 5-armed octopus of friendship. Oh. That's my next book. Right now.
I love that you picked an 8-armed creature.
And just lobbed off.
Knocked a few arms off there.
They're the friends that I've dumped. Not really. I don't want to get this reputation.
I love it. How did you find the writing process versus the radio process? Because they could not be more polar opposite if you tried, in terms of, and I think we talked to Annie Mac about this a bit, because she's obviously had a similar experience in writing Mother, and obviously when you're on the radio, it's so quick.
Yes.
It's ephemeral. You say it and it's gone and never to be heard again, hopefully. You're there and you're reacting, and it's buzzy and it's wild, and it just feels adrenaline fueled, and you don't have to, there's obviously an element of prep and a huge element of skill that you have to learn over years. But when you're in the moment, you can just wing it and go with it.
Yeah.
Whereas with a book, it is so slow.
Yeah.
At times laborious. You're having to go back over things 5, 6, 7 times to check and look over it. It's really polar opposite. Did you find yourself feeling impatient when you were writing?
Yeah, a little bit. I found myself like being a bit of a word count watcher, where I was just like, oh God, it was a big barn. It was a very, very, very big barn. Good. I'll go and have a cup of tea now. But yeah, like you say, because on the radio you just say, poof, it's gone. If you have a bad show, the beauty about a daily show is if you have a bad show, you're like, I'm back tomorrow and I'm going to kill it tomorrow. But, with a book, you've just got to keep, like you say, circling back on it and trying to finesse it. But here's the thing, without finessing it too much, because then it loses its rhythm and its flow, and, because if you're just going back and constantly tweaking. So I guess it's like knowing, I don't know, like a musician might know, not to go in and keep tweaking that bit of bass or whatever they do. And the same with Mary Berry and her biscuits, don't add any raisins. You've done enough to that biscuit, Mary. So it's that kind of thing of like then leaving it alone and moving on. But yeah, I mean, it's a long process. I'm just at the start of the new one and I'm a bit like,
it's like you're at the foot of a mountain.
Yeah, it's quite overwhelming, but exciting.
I
mean, my face didn't say exciting then, did it? I was like, exciting. But, Jesus.
Can't wait to get up at 5 tomorrow before the kids to get stuck into that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your amazing career, because it's...
you know what I forgot to say? Sorry, it slipped out of my brain. I did tell you I had a brain like that this evening. Friends, somebody said to me, either radiators or drains.
Yeah.
That's the one, isn't it? Has anybody heard that quote? I think I got it slightly wrong. It's something like that.
No, it is.
That's what I'm drawn to, and that's what my Five Go French and Claire are very much. Give me warmth and heat and positivity and nourish me. And the one that I binned off, who's becoming quite a feature for this podcast accidentally now, was very much a drain.
Yeah, I just think it's that fear of we don't allow ourselves to do that life laundry and get rid of people.
Yeah.
We feel like we have to be committed or put up with it.
Yeah,
and much like
hard.
in a sour relationship, we shouldn't.
No.
We need to get braver at going, this isn't working for me. And
yeah.
But I think it's just working out logistically how, like, is it a verbal situation where you say this isn't working,
Yes.
or is it just a gradual ignoring your WhatsApps?
Or you could bring in paperwork, some sort of certificate,
Wow, the friendship is done.
Yes,
Deceased.
Sign here and here, and here. That's it. Just one more
And
here.
bugger off.
Right, you're done. Yeah, thank you.
It's so funny. I just think, we find that very difficult, and also to find peace afterwards, because I've certainly had that happen where there's people that I don't see anymore, and I know why I don't see them, and they probably know why they don't see me, but I often can't find peace in it. I still feel edgy about it. Sometimes it will pop into my head in the middle of the day when I'm thinking about something else. There's a slight discomfort there, whereas I wouldn't have that with an ex-partner. I think that obviously had its time and it's over. But it's weird with a friend that you can question it. Should I have done this? Should I have, it could be apologised, or should I have made more effort, or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, if it wasn't right, it wasn't right. And you just have to have that acceptance.
And you've probably only got enough spaces in your life to be occupied by friends. Anyway, maybe that's it. There was a number, I should know this, about the maximum number of people that you can
how many friends you should
have in life, like the human brain can cope with. It's like 144, but we're talking colleagues and friends and people who are in your life, and they boiled it down to that most people have just got a handful of friends, count them on one hand.
That's probably why we all feel like we're slightly losing the plot a lot of the time, because due to social media, that has expanded weirdly, where we're sort of in touch with way too many people, and we're trying to keep up some sort of, patter and discussion with them, but it's completely unachievable. Like, we're driving ourselves mad trying to do that.
Yeah, it's hard. People are really lovely and they'll say hi. And because I've not really been on Facebook, it's quite an eye-opener if I go into like my Insta messages, because I wasn't really going in there that much. And there'll be people messaging from my secondary school, and I've not really been like that in touch with people from then. And it's like, whoa, I'm just like, someone's grabbed me and swirled me back to double geography on a Wednesday morning. But this person obviously is now my age.
Yeah.
And their kids look exactly like them, like, when I knew them at 16 or whatever. It's all just a bit like, it's too much.
Yeah, it is quite unnatural, but we've normalised the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we're accepting of it.
Thousands of friends.
Thousands of friends. We don't need thousands of friends. We need, as you clarified earlier, 5.
Yeah, that's
5 octopus arms only. I've loved as a fan watching what you've done with your career over the years. I loved the Girly Show so much back in the day. I'm still great friends with Sarah Kaywood.
Are you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I speak to Sarah all the time. She's just so lovely and so brilliant to sort of see where you've taken your career, and it's very sort of naturally, organically unfurled in the way it has. Before the Girly Show, when you were modelling and you were in South Korea with your big boobs and all that sort of stuff going on.
Someone's just listened halfway through. What fun?
What's she on about boobs for? I would have done so well modelling in South Korea with my tiny boobs.
Japan. You'd have been Japan, babe.
Japan.
You'd have been Tokyo.
Tokyo would have been amazing for
bit
me.
of class.
But that boat has sailed. But did you think at that point when you were modelling, this isn't enough for me? There's something. Did you have your eyes set on DJing, presenting at that point?
Well, when you're a model, you're a clothes hanger, so you're not allowed to have any sort of opinion or point of view or a voice, really. Like, you're literally, the stuff that they'll give you to wear, you're like, really, babe? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Put it on. And what was really lovely was I just knew that I didn't want to go to uni because my sister was at university studying law and French, and she was skint, and she was always ringing home like, there's 8 of us and we've only got 1 potato and we've no shoes. And I'm like, I don't like the sound of uni at all. I'm like, no, I'm just going to faff about modelling for a couple of years. And actually, when I got the chance to do the Girly Show, because they had a model casting, so they were clearly looking for a serious journalist, for a beauty. And I went out and I took my hairbrush, like you do when you're singing in the mirror. I thought, this will do as a microphone when I'm auditioning to be a TV presenter. And I found it really natural and really fun just to show off. But that probably comes from being the youngest of 5 and just desperately trying to get attention my entire childhood and competing with, animals and older children for fuss and food. So it was lovely to be like given a voice. It was like, Little Mermaid getting a voice back again, I was like, I'm allowed to speak now that I'm not just the clothes horse. I can actually have an opinion. So it wasn't the aim, but I sort of fell into it. I always thought I'd be doing, really weird, I had a feeling I'd be doing something media-ish. I might have had to eventually get off to uni and go and study journalism or something. But it was not, once it started, I was like, oh yeah.
And when did you feel like you really got into your swing of it and found your voice? Because obviously when you start out, I don't know about you, but when I started presenting, I was just trying to copy everyone else I saw. Like, I really like Zoe Ball Live and Kicking, so what would Zoe do? And I would try and emulate that. And it took me years to go, this is, and probably only really, if I'm completely honest, in the last 5 years, have I found that much deeper layer of comfort where I go, I can just literally turn up as me.
Yeah, it's not interesting.
I might be feeling buzzy that day or a bit low energy that day, but I can just be whatever I am rather than putting on a show, putting on a thing.
Yeah. And
when did you find that?
Well, it's funny you say that. I've not really thought of that before. And I reckon, 26 years ago, I did the Girly Show, and it was probably similar, like probably about 10 years ago, or even less than that, where I suddenly thought, I've always loved radio and I've always felt in my groove and myself on the radio, definitely. But when it comes to being in front of the camera, I think actually the Great Pottery Throwdown was one of the best things to have happened to my career, because suddenly I wasn't just, a gob on a stick, showing off. That's how they thought of me, because they'd not really heard me on the radio. They just thought, on telly, she's quite sort of brash and over the top. And actually, I just wanted to be kind of funny, but I'm friendly and can be warm, And I think on that show, they really gave me the chance to just be myself, and I absolutely loved it. And it ticked all the boxes where they just let me be a bit silly and try and get a few laughs, but also to just be naturally nosy and to chat to people. And I think that really changed the minds of lots of TV-type people. And TV-type people.
TV types. Well, you do get weirdly
and that's
sort of
what the
boxed.
more jobs sort of came after that. But yeah, I basically spent sort of, I had a few years at the start where I was like Girly Show and all that, and then 10 years, not in the wilderness, I was still on Radio 1 and doing other bits and bobs, but I felt like I spent a good 10 years, a good decade making up for the first decade of my career where I'd been seen as being a bit, wild, party animal. I'd been a bit boxed like that. And my lovely agent, Melanie, who's here tonight, give me a whoop, Mel. She better have be. Oh, good, excellent. She better have be. Do you like that? She used to take me around to meet commissioners when work was really slow and it was really humiliating, and I hated it.
I hate those meetings.
Oh my God, because she's like, look, you've just got to you're a bit like a sort of, a bride nobody wanted, like being shoved in front, like, look, take my daughter. She's not old enough to be my mum. I better say that now, she'll kill me. But she was literally like, just get in front of people and say hi, and maybe they'll think of you for work in the future. So there's definitely the years of that. So I'm really grateful.
Bring back very painful memories, because I did a big stint of those as well. And
did you? I thought it was just me being dragged around.
No, so many, to the point where I said I refused to do them, because I would go in and invariably someone would go, they'd be sort of looking on their phone and go, what have you been up to? And I'd go, oh my God, you don't even know. Yeah. That's so embarrassing that I've got to actually first of all tell you. And then I ended up sort of selling myself and then feeling like a wally. Yeah. Horrendous. But it is interesting how people do get boxed. I still feel the same with it now. Obviously, I started when I was a kid, so until I was in my mid-20s, people thought I was 15. I'd be sent freebies like a Hello Kitty rucksack. I'm 26, I have a flat. I don't want a Hello Kitty rucksack. Mad. And then I think I probably got boxed a bit with Radio 1, youth, cool, gigs. My worst phrase ever, that I will happily admit to you, because it's a safe space, people. I can't even say the words.
Oh, God.
Rock chick.
Oh, my God. Okay.
I can't.
I'll see your rock chick and I'll raise you a ladette.
Oh. I feel actually sick about this conversation we're having. Yeah. I can't bear it, because not a single bit of you in that moment identifies with what you're being called. Yeah. I was like, I'm never wearing black nail polish ever again. And then people would sort of, if someone drew a picture of me or whatever, it'd be skull t-shirt, black strip in my hair. And I was like, oh my God, that was 15 years ago. I can't bear it. So I think we probably always feel we've got to prove ourselves a bit more than we should. I still feel like I'm in that, if I'm honest, especially with TV. With the podcasting, I feel very happy just turning up as me. But I don't think I've ever regained my confidence in TV. I'm still up for giving it a go down the line, but I still feel like I'm trying to prove myself in a sense, which I think many of us feel in all different careers that we're in, that we're constantly trying to prove to other people, this is who I am, see who I really am. I'm not a rock chick. See who I have 2 kids and 2 stepkids and spend most of my time doing laundry. But we're constantly trying to prove ourselves to others. Yeah. And
it's like the sort of ages of women that, and I guess if you're in the public eye, they've just seen the years where you've been wearing a school t-shirt or whatever as a 15-year-old, and they've just clung on to that. They've sort of frozen you in time. And it's the same with me, through my 20s was sort of, going out, working, pre-kids, 30s, kids, and then 40s is much more about me. And I think that's why, for any ladies out there who are hurtling towards their 40s are great. I mean, I've really, work-wise and everything, I've loved them. Confidence-wise, just giving less of a shit.
Yeah, it is that cliche, isn't it? I mean, I turned 40 last year, and already I'm feeling the glimmers of that one. I just give less of a shit about so many things in my life, and I'm looking forward to that momentum just growing and growing massively.
I didn't know we could say that word. That's why I've been singing it. I don't know if you've noticed.
What, shit?
Yeah, I've been going.
Oh, you can do any swears.
Okay, good.
You're not on the radio now, babes.
I know. I'm like, the shackles are off.
I think Caitlin Moran dropped the C-bomb.
Oh.
pretty certain that she did.
We won't be doing that. We're in Islington. It's
No,
very
and we're
well
very,
heeled
very, very civilised
around
people.
here.
We won't be doing that. But yeah, it's a free space. That's why I like podcasting. 0 rules.
So nice. I was
keep
actually
waffling.
here for Annie Mac, speaking of Annie, for her.
Was it here?
Yeah, her Before Midnight. Did anybody come to that? It was amazing. Yes, thank you.
Oh, it
Sarah.
looked so good.
We were on a podium together, raving. It was amazing, wasn't it? It finished just before midnight, as the name
Perfect.
suggests, and came and had a little dance. I told anybody that would listen that day that I was going to a club that night, like literally flagging down buses to go, I'm going clubbing tonight. Me, yeah. And it was brilliant.
I love that she's done that. It's again,
Well, there's an example of a woman embracing who she is now, and just saying, right, this
I'm
is...
making it work for her.
Yes.
Like, my life has changed. It doesn't suit me to be doing a 4 a.m. set, so I'm going to make it work for me. I think that's so brilliant.
Yeah, she's like totally, but it also works for so many, not just women, just for people who just want to have some sleep and still go out and have a dance.
Even tonight, I'm having a slight panic. It is 10 to 9. Normally, I like to slip in between the covers at about 20 past.
Yes.
Read for half an hour, and then I'm off at 10. That won't be happening tonight.
No, I'd be rinsing my retainer at this point. There's another lovely image.
Retainer. It's all glamour.
Climbing into bed. That's in This Is 40, isn't it? It's a great film.
I love that film.
Literally.
I know. I need to rewatch that now I am actually 40.
Yes.
Because I appreciated it at sort of 30, but I'm going to really bed in with that one.
Yeah,
now
you and
40.
hubby should watch it with a big list. It was like play bingo,
I've done that. That's
us.
quite depressing. Well, look, Sarah, I cannot thank you enough for chatting.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to see what your next book is, and just to see the buzz around this book is so brilliant. So please, everybody, give it up for the wonderful Sara Cox.
Thank you. Thank you.